Hello there, welcome back. You're watching a Veronin. This V-book is created with an initiative to make you a better learner and to help you retain more information in lesser time through an advanced method called Learning 5.0. This is Avi. I am a Learner 5.0 and I shall be narrating this summary to you. This is the book summary of 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. This book summary is created by taking the main ideas of the original book and by breaking them down into number of CACs, that is, key areas of knowledge or notable points that will help you distill down the entire book into a number of information chunks or blocks, eventually making you a Learner 5.0. So let's dive right in. In this summary, I'm going to talk about the secret sauce of building successful billion-dollar businesses that stays on top for a long time. The author of this book is a successful entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and is famously known as the founder of PayPal. He's one of the most qualified and among the chosen ones to talk about building successful companies. More so because he was part of that elite group of entrepreneurs famously known as the PayPal Mafia, and many of his former colleagues have started and invested in successful tech companies as well. They sold PayPal to eBay for a $1.5 billion in 2002. Other key members who were part of PayPal team are Elon Musk, who has founded SpaceX and co-founded Tesla Motors; Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn; Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Javed Karim together founded YouTube; Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons founded Yelp; David Sachs co-founded Yammer; and Thiel himself co-founded Palantir Technologies. Today, all 7 of those companies are worth more than $1 billion each. So, one day, while Peter was teaching a course on startups called CS 183 in Stanford University, he gave a lecture on building successful startups and also on making the world a better place at the same time. Then one of his students from that class, named Blake Masters, took a detailed note of that lecture, which later became so popular that it was circulated outside the industry as well. To spread that knowledge in the outside so that people from all around the world can learn those concepts, Peter teamed up with Blake to give that lecture notes the shape of an entire book, which later became 0 to 1. The book starts by saying that great businesses are like monuments. Their values are one of a kind and most possibly cannot be replicated. So what makes these companies great? How they are beating competition by creating monopolies, and why they are so successful in what they do? Let us find out. CAC number 1. Go from 0 to 1. In the early 1900s, horses were the primary modes of transport for common men. If you have developed an advanced horse cart back in those days, then the progress that you have made would be from 1 to N. But if you have developed a new mode of transport, like car, as Mr. Henry Ford did, who envisioned and later developed the car for a larger population, then that progress can be called as going from 0 to 1. Now, if you want to achieve significant success, then you must go from 0 to 1. That means vertical progress, also known as innovation. The other form of progress is like going from 1 to N, otherwise known as horizontal progress or globalization. Great businesses achieve success by going from 0 to 1. Great things in businesses happen only once and most likely do not give the same results on repetition. If you are copying them, then you are not learning anything from them at all. For example, the next Bill Gates will not be building the next PC operating system. The next Zuckerberg won't be building the next social media, or the next Larry Page won't be building the next search engine. Copying them can only take you from 1 to n, thus limiting your success. CAC number 2. Build a monopoly. Competition is for losers. We live in a society where traditional social pressure and competition are hugely respected, admired, and accepted as part of our daily lives. Thus, our brains are wired for competition. Competition is equally bad for business as it is in our daily lives. Competition eats your profit like crazy. The opposite of competition is monopoly. On one hand, we have competition, where competing firms are forced to sell at a market price. And on the other, we have firms who dominates the market through monopoly. A monopoly literally owns the market and can dictate the pricing. Every successful company has a secret sauce. That is, it does at least one thing that others cannot repeat. Monopoly is, therefore, neither the solution nor the exception. It is a necessity. It is the most important fundamental aspect for each and every successful businesses. So, the more you compete, the less profit you earn. Period. When the first iPhone came out, with Apple's operating system iOS preloaded, it sparked an initial threat to Windows' decade-long monopoly in operating systems. Later, with the emergence of Android and rise of mobile computing, Windows' single-handed dominance on operating system was gone. CAC number 3. Capitalism and competition are two different things. People often confuse capitalism with competition. These two are poles apart. One makes profit, the other destroys the same. The more the competition, the lesser the profit. Capitalism means capital. Competition means there would be no capital for you. The pie will be eaten up by other players. So to get more capital, you need to be a monopolist and escape your competition. You may argue back that monopolies are bad, but this is true only in a world where nothing changes. So in our world, it is possible to invent new and better things. Thus, monopolies are required and can sustain without damaging the ecosystem. Google is a great example of a company who dominates the market with a monopoly. As of 2014, Google owns nearly 70% of the market share, followed by Microsoft and Yahoo, who owns the rest 30% of the market. If that's not enough, the word Google is now officially enlisted in Oxford English Dictionary as a verb. CAC number 4. All happy companies are different. Leo Tolstoy has a very interesting piece in his famous novel Anna Karenina, where it says, all happy families are alike, and each unhappy family is unhappy for multiple reasons. In business though, it is just the opposite. All happy and successful companies are different by creating monopolies in different domains. And all unhappy and unsuccessful companies are the same. That is, they are unable to create the differentiated values or monopolies and eventually die at some point. For example, in 2012, US airline companies served millions of customers and earned a revenue of $160 billion. During the same, they made a profit of 37 cents per passenger per trip. On the other hand, Google clocked a revenue of $50 billion, but still managed a 21% profit of the revenue amount, and the profit earned was more than 3 times the entire US airline industry combined. While airline companies were competing with each other over prices, Google, at the same time, was enjoying the comfort of a monopoly through its differentiated value proposition without even thinking about competition. CAC number 5. First begin with a niche and then dominate. Today, Amazon sells almost everything from A to Z, but they had a very humble beginning as an online bookseller back in 1994. At the very inception, Amazon purely concentrated on a very niche market of book lovers, and for the first time, they created an online marketplace where the customers can buy books virtually and get it delivered at their doorstep. It not only made buying books seamlessly easy, but also emerged as a search engine for books 6 years prior to Google. Amazon brought the 0 to 1 progress by opening an online bookstore and added value to a lot of people. Once they became successful, Amazon moved on with products like CDs and DVDs and so on, and ultimately dominated the entire consumer market, making Jeff Bezos the richest man on planet. Another example will be that of PayPal, founded by Peter Thiel himself. At the time when eBay dealt with checks issued by customers, PayPal introduced their technology of online transfer and created a lot of value by reducing the timeline of transaction to almost zero. As a result, PayPal moved on to the mass market and introduced inter-country online transaction. This catapulted the valuation of PayPal into $1 billion company and turning it into a unicorn. So, if you want to make your business big, first focus on the small problem of the niche market. Solve it, make a monopoly, and then concentrate to scale higher. It's always better to be the big fish in the small pond rather than a small one in the sea. CAC number 6. Follow the money. The next point is from the perspective of a VC or venture capitalists who normally invest in early stage startups. Now, the cold hard fact is that investors are not in the business of building businesses. They are in the business of entering and exiting businesses. Here is a fun fact. More than 90% of startups fail within the first 5 years. So why does the VCs keep running after the startups with bag full of cash? Because the 10% that survives don't just only live on to see the day, but they turn into cash minting machines for their investors. VCs are in search of those startups that has the potential to become the next Facebooks or Instagrams of their worlds. To give you an example, Andreessen Horowitz, a VC from the Silicon Valley, invested $250,000 in Instagram in 2010. When Facebook bought Instagram 2 years later, with $1 billion, Andreessen's share became 78 million. That is a 312 times return that catapulted his firm to be one of the most reputed ones in the VC circle of Silicon Valley. So to summarize, let us revisit the CACs once again. CAC number 1 says that to be successful in business, always go from 0 to 1 by achieving vertical success, because copying someone else will only help you to go from 1 to N, or shall give you horizontal success. Great companies or products cannot be replicated to give the same level of success. CAC number 2 says, build a monopoly, because competition is for losers. Here we learn that why monopoly is not at all a bad thing. Moreover, it is a prerequisite for every successful company, and how Apple and Microsoft have created a creative monopoly in areas of mobile and desktop operating systems. In CAC number 3, we have learned about the difference between capitalism and capital, and how competition and creating monopoly is related to these two. In CAC number 4, we learn that how all happy companies are successful for the one common reason. In both the previous points, the relative example is of Google, where we have seen how it dominates the market share of online advertising, and despite of earning less than 1/3 of the revenue of the entire airline industry, how it managed to pull out a profit that is greater than 3 times the entire American airline industry combined. So we're in competition where you must match the competitive pricing, whereas in monopoly, you can literally dictate the pricing. In CAC number 5, where we have seen the example of Amazon, where it started with a niche and went on to become a dominant player. In startup world, this process is known as to go from pony to unicorn. And finally, in CAC number 6, we have learned about the VCs and their strategy in funding startups. So if you have slightest interest in entrepreneurship or startups, then these knowledges stated above should be the golden statements for you. So congratulations if you have reached this section, because very few people invest time and patience for their knowledge. So it makes you a true learner 5.0. We hope you have enjoyed this video. We have created this section so that we can narrate and share our goals with you. Our goal is to provide you with high quality education combined with cutting edge animation that will keep you both educated and entertained at the same time. Our mission is to create a world of value-based entertainment so that no one gets tired of learning. We want to end this evil of mindless entertainment and embark on an age of mindful entertainment, and thus would request you to be a part of our mission, where we want to revolutionize and transform both education and entertainment. So if you wish to remain as Learner 5.0, please do follow and subscribe to our social media feeds, details given in your screen. Also, do not forget to mention your comments or suggestions below as well. We shall be eagerly awaiting for your feedbacks. Till we meet in our next VBook, this is Team Avironan signing off. Keep learning and keep sharing. Ciao and goodbye.